Still handle it with care and communication. And if the person is not receiving it well slash reacting poorly, then you have a choice. But it is your own responsibility to have values around how you want to show up and live accordingly to those regardless of what feelings you might be feeling. He didn't
Huh.
really understand that and said he just doesn't feel it. I feel like there has
Yeah.
been no repair. Our lease ends in 2 months. He also has not told me whether he wants to live together again or move out. I'm not sure what I want either. I mean, ideally I want to repair and live together, but I just have not gotten anything from him. The only thing he has been able to give me is going to couples therapy for him to communicate what changes I need to make him feel safe and for me to make those changes and see if that gives him feelings to be able to do the things I asked, feel regret for the way he handled things, living together, wanting a marriage. Right now he cannot tell me he wants to marry me, cannot give me any timeline, cannot wholeheartedly want to repair and regain my trust after the huge betrayal, and is only focused on his feelings. When I ask him what emotional safety means to him, he says the ability to understand him and prioritize him slash put him first. And when asked for examples, he listed one, letting his parents invite someone for his past for the sake of their relationship. Two, handling my stress better and being able to come to him softly instead of being visibly slash audibly stressed. I have tried too. And I've found that even when I try my best to come softly, he finds a problem with a certain word I use. I doubt he disrespectful, or he says I'm falling back into my patterns and digging when he doesn't have an answer to give me when I ask him questions like, why do you think you don't feel regret about the way you handle things? Or, do you have any sense of timeline for yourself in terms of if you don't feel like you want a marriage with me by, let's say, 6 months of couples? Therapy, then you tell me and cut it off. It feels impossible to communicate anything with him as he just keeps saying, I don't know, or I can't give you answers right now. He says he wants to stay together in the sense that he wants to go to couples therapy to discuss and then see, but he is unable to do the things that come with a relationship like fully repair, emotional closeness, ability to communicate genuine desire slash emotions, do little things like get flowers for our living room even after I explicitly asked him 4 times. His answer is I just don't want to. I don't know if I can move forward when my trust has been broken in such a big way. And his version is repair is further distance and taking it very, very slow, while I repair through openness and closeness. I have been seeing some changes in him, like increasing his thresholds, but emotional talks, but it's still very short. After X minutes, he is visibly sighing or just telling me I cannot talk to you about us outside of therapy. I would love some advice on how to approach this and also what to do about our lease that is ending soon. I also have a timeline for myself as I want kids and ideally in 4 to 5 years. What do you think?
Um, hold up. So that was a lot. I am gonna start off on your side real quick because I don't think that no ex from way back when should be at your wedding. But I mean, people do that. Uh, I don't understand why. It's supposed to be, I guess, some type of closure kind of thing. I don't know. Uh, my observation as far as the ex is concerned in anybody's wedding, it's inappropriate. You do not invite your ex lover to your wedding. I don't care if it's a family friend or not. If y'all were childhood friends and then y'all started dating and then y'all broke up, I mean, I don't care. Your ex should not be at you because whose side of the room are they supposed to be sitting on? You got to understand the wedding is supposed to be divided between the people who are here for the bride and the people who are here for the groom. Your ex is not in your life for your benefit. So they are not going to be at your wedding in support of it. Bringing the ex is like bringing a grenade for that anybody who has an objection, please speak now or forever hold your peace kind of moment where that person can just, oh, I love you and disrupt the whole wedding and then take either the bride or the groom and run off and leave the other person at the altar. That's the kind of chaos that you're trying to set up by bringing the X. So to definitively nail it into the coffin that you're through with the last person. You're going to say I do to the next person while the last person stands there and watches. Who is stupid enough to put themselves through that type of abuse? To be honest, as the ex, why would you go to the wedding of your ex to watch them be happy with someone else, especially if you're not happy? No, I don't think that that's healthy at all. And I think that when you stood your position and said, look, if she's coming to the wedding, I'm not coming to the wedding, that was a good stance. Um, so I'm all supportive of that. However, I also do believe that the wedding was forced to a degree without proper discussion. And I believe that because the wedding was forced without proper discussion, uh, the fact that you even booked a venue, y'all were moving too fast, because who is on the guest list should be the kind of discussions that y'all have before y'all start talking about getting the venue, because you need to know if the venue is big enough for the guest list. You know what I mean? Then there's supposed to be compromise. Now, the mama want the wedding. And since the mama want the wedding, if you're getting the wedding for the mama, you need to talk to your husband about how much of your mama's satisfaction are you getting in this wedding versus how much your wife's satisfaction is being gotten from this wedding, because typically the wedding is supposed to be for the bride, not the mama. Okay. Usually the parents of the bride and groom contribute to the happiness of the bride and groom, not the other way around. So I personally would find that that would be a red flag, as the bride, that this wedding is not about the bride and groom. The wedding is about the mother-in-law and what the mother-in-law wants. And I would not have voluntarily participated in that, because specifically as the bride, it's supposed to be your day. And as much as I believe that y'all should just go ahead and do a small gathering with some of your closest friends and families, uh, uh, to recognize the occasion, truthfully, like I said before, y'all could get married at the Justice of the Peace for like $50 to $75 with like two witnesses, and then have the whatever type of wedding reception wherever. Y'all could have done that. And matter of fact, as it pertains to this particular scenario, if mama paying for the wedding and you and your husband go and get married on the side and do the official wedding with the court, justice of the peace, little small thing. Two of your best friends, two of his best friends, the 8 of y'all, 6 of y'all get up there and make it do what it do. Then yeah. And then whatever the hell mama want, we putting on a show for mama because she paying. You know? So if she want to invite an ex, if she want to, well, look, if she's gonna invite your ex, let me invite two or three of my exes, and then we can all feel uncomfortable. And go ahead and make it do what it do. But um, I think that one thing that a lot of men do is they cave on everything that they want. It doesn't matter if they're caving it for their mama, if they're caving it for their girlfriend. They cave on everything that a man wants. And typically, when a man gets fed up, that's when things start changing. So, in this situation, while yes, he's been acting a little bit like a mama's boy in this wedding situation, because who's going to argue between two women that are very important in your life and both of them are talking down to you? The dynamic here is going to be is that the wedding wasn't good for y'all to begin with, 'cause y'all don't have the same views, and y'all should have worked that out. One of the clues that you did let go was that you pressure him for an answer right then and there. You have a timeline, you have things that you want to work out, and um, you just need to know, like, are we going to do this for 6 months and it's going to work, or like, when do we throw in a towel? Well, as much time as we need. We could do two sessions and decide that this isn't going to work, or we could do 18 months and decide that we're going to keep doing. The longer that I'm willing to stay in it, and the longer that you're willing to stay in it, the longer it's going to last. Because think about this though, because some people believe that you have to put a finite number on family therapy, couples therapy. And you have to understand that family therapy could last the rest of your life. Couples therapy could last the rest of your life. Marriage counseling for divorce takes 12 to 18 months. So when you're asking like how much therapy do y'all need in order for you to get married? Enough for him to not feel uncomfortable with talking to you. That's how much you need. Now, how long is that going to take? That depends on how quickly you change with how you address him because you gave him a lot of fantastic advice that you didn't follow. You recognize that you didn't follow it, but you gave him a lot of fantastic advice about approaching it calmly. And even if y'all don't agree and this, that, and the third, but a lot of ladies are very assertive about getting their point across in the most loudest way possible in a public place, embarrassing the man in front of everybody, especially people that value the man, which causes a lot of people who see you behaving like this to this man lose respect for this man. And because he's got a woman that allegedly he can't control, whilst women also believe that they shouldn't be controlled by their man, but they also believe that they should be quote unquote tamed by their man, which makes no sense because that's the exact same thing. If you can't carry yourself with dignity and you're lashing out in anger in a public place in front of his family, it doesn't look like he's got the right woman. All right. So if you and him can't go off to the side and talk about this and work it out, y'all got to go to therapy. But if after X number of minutes of him continuously telling you, I don't know, it's turning into an interrogation. And that interrogation is putting pressure on him, it's frustrating him. And before he Ray Rice you down a flight of stairs, at the end of the day, he's going to talk to you about it in therapy. Most, you're not listening. You want answers, but you're not listening. Now, what do you do about this? Because that's really what your question was. What do you do about this? Well, the first thing you have to do is you have to listen more than you talk. Then you have to try to take what you heard and apply it. And one of the things, because I've seen a lot of stuff over social media in the last couple of days where ladies are asking, like, why do men leave good women and why do men cheat on good women and why do men divorce good women? And the answer is always the same because they're not good women. You can't put a rubber stamp on it and say that's a good woman. Um, and then the behaviors that you're putting out are not the behaviors of a good woman because a good woman brings happiness to the man, brings peace to the man. You know, a good woman will compromise with the man, will negotiate with the man, will aid the man. And I mean, while women don't want to hear that a lot of the times because that half is them putting an effort into their husband. They want to hear the man worshiping her, obsessing over her, bowing to her, giving her everything that she needs, buying her everything that she wants. But the way that you want your man to treat you like a princess, the way that you want your man to pluck the moon out of the sky and bring it to you, the way that you want your man to put everything on the line for you, that's exactly the way you're supposed to be treating your man. And if you are not treating your man the way you want to be treated by your man, your expectations are highly overrated and unrealistic. If you're going to be selfish in your relationship, how do you expect your man to be generous? Because you're not generous. If you're only focusing on you and what you want, how can you expect him to focus on you and what you want? Who the hell is focusing on him and what he wants? Now, here goes the other thing, because I know that I heard it from you earlier, and I've heard it from a few women over the past few days on social media, and y'all get mad when y'all don't get what y'all want, but y'all get mad when a man tell y'all that he's unhappy. Now, let me ask you a question. What part of your marriage were you gonna clock in and make sure that your man was happy? Because at the end of the day, you're in a marriage. This is supposed to be the rest of y'all life. And I understand the marriage concept. back in the day when people didn't live past 55, the marriage concept was forever. I mean, if you got married at 25 and you're only going to live 20 years, you know what I mean? And then, when we think about back in the World War I days, it's like you got married, you was probably only going to be together for 2 to 5 years and then you're going to go to war and die. You know, the marriage construct back in them days wasn't forever. It was until you got enlisted, right? Nowadays, you could be 85, 90 years old. You could find somebody at 30 and still give them 55 years. Okay. And if you were not wife material at the beginning of the marriage, y'all not going to have a good marriage. And a wife material is the type of woman that is going to do whatever it takes to make sure that her man is happy. He's less likely to cheat on you if he's because think about this now, because women believe that men are dogs and this, that, and the third. But a man is going to find outside of his relationship what he doesn't have inside of his relationship, and that is going to lead to physical contact with someone else outside of the relationship. It's true. It's going to be that way. There are some people who are afraid of commitment, but there are a lot of people who just are unhappy and they don't want to leave the woman that they got, but they want to go and get some peace somewhere else. They express it in all the wrong ways. I'm not saying what they're doing is right, but I'm saying that if you want your man to not disappear out of your relationship, you need to do more question asking and less back talking. Because think about this, ladies. Think about this. Ask yourself real quick, and y'all can chime in. Y'all can disagree with me wholeheartedly and chime in because your opinion is valuable here. I want a woman's opinion up in here to tell me what y'all think about this. But let's be for real, real quick. Let's be for real, real quick. If a man from the first date always asking you, "Are you okay? What do you need? What can I get for you? What makes you happy? Does this hurt? What can I go to the stove for you in the middle of the night?" All of the questions a man asks you to make sure that you are satisfied with the situation. How many times in your marriage, how many times before your marriage have you gone through them exact same questions for him to find out, is he okay? Does your back hurt? Are you tired? Can I get you something to help you sleep? What can I do to help you? What you seem stressed today? Is there something I can do to take the stress off your plate? It ain't just about physical contact. You ain't gotta, make your jaw hurt in order to make his stress feel better. You could do some stuff around the house, but you could do some stuff outside of the house. He might have to be in three different places at one time. If you can cover two of them, that's two less things he's got to do for the week. You know, but weddings are a trial by fire because how much you're willing to cooperate with your husband during the preparation of the wedding is about how much you're willing to cooperate with your husband during the damn marriage. A lot of the times, the men pay for the marriage, not the women. The wives do not pay for their own weddings. But the one who is not paying for anything has the most demands. And the excuse is, it's your day. Well, let me ask you this. Since he's paying every single dollar for your day, when the fuck is his day come? And how much are you investing in his day? Because after the wedding day, the most a man is going to get is 2 or 3 nights of good sex in the middle of nowhere, and hopefully, and that be it. Because after that, intimacy starts becoming held hostage in the relationship, especially if kids are involved. So we have to ask ourselves before we start getting into that marriage conversation: do we have the type of husband or the type of wife that we are willing to spend the rest of our life with based on the way they behave right now? Because when you marry them, that's exactly who they're going to be, if not worse, over the next 40 or 50 years. So this guy, he broke off the marriage and almost broke off the relationship. A lot of it had to do with your behavior, but your behavior was somewhat justified based on some of the stuff was being asked of by his mama. Um, if you're not willing to negotiate the situation with him, then you're putting yourself in a position to not get married to him. So, final thing I can tell you about your situation with him. If his mama wants some heifer to come to your wedding, first, let's start off with this. If you and your husband can work this situation out where the two of y'all can go get married, then go get married first. And the reason why I tell you this is that if the two of y'all, just the two of y'all, can work out y'all communication issues, because everybody else in the family ain't got shit to do with y'all, because y'all, they don't live in y'all house. So hopefully, and y'all got the lease. The typically you use the lease as an excuse, because the landlord is going to roll over the lease. They're not going to put you out if you don't renew the lease. It's going to be an extended lease. You're going to be on a month to month. And I mean, the only thing renewing the lease does is guarantee you that you're going to stay in this property for another 12 months. So if you don't renew the lease, landlord not gonna kick you out as long as you paying the rent on the first, or if you paying the rent before the first, the landlord not gonna kick you out. So it don't matter if the lease is up in 2 months, because they're not gonna say, "Oh, time's up, gotta pack up your stuff and go." No, they're gonna say, "Where's my money?" You know, you've been staying there for over a year. They still got to give you a 30-day notice to vacate. So, which means you still got 3 months to stay there. If you're not gonna pay the rent or renew the lease. Now, if y'all can work out y'all differences and y'all can go back to the getting married part, my suggestion is to start off with go get married. You, him, his best friend, your best friend, maybe his best friend's wife or girlfriend, and maybe your best friend's husband or boyfriend, and the six of y'all go to the justice of the peace and go get married. Now, the reason why I say that is because that's what the fuck y'all wanted to begin with. Y'all already had a plan. Get that plan out the way first. Now, since y'all did that, the shit that mama want, that's mama's party. You just showing up for it. Now, since y'all done already got, because you got to understand that the marriage is a two-part process. When you go and do that $150,000 destination wedding, right? And go through the whole ceremony and all the stuff, and the pastor that y'all hired and kiss the bride and all this stuff, y'all still got to march y'all ass down to the justice of the peace anyway and do the paperwork. Y'all not legal because y'all had the party. See what I'm saying? So go do that first. And after y'all get that out of the way, because that's between y'all, then mama want to do this foolishness, go ahead and let mama invite his ex to the party. Let her, let her. But what you do is you agree to your husband, like, look, if you're gonna invite exes to the party, I'm gonna invite some exes to the party and let them all sit in the back row. Put all of our exes at the X table. That way mama is happy. Mama gonna feel stupid because you gonna have one or two exes from his past and one or two exes from your past, even out the playing field. Everybody equally uncomfortable. Then after you finish doing what you do to satisfy mama, y'all can live happily ever after. But compromising everything that you are for the sake of one side, I'm never going to agree with. So, ma'am, I'm going to tell you that if you're not able to get married to him the way y'all wanted to, and you have to bend over backwards for his mama, this ain't the family for you. And if your husband can't rethink your position and decide that that's not appropriate, that his ex's family can come to the wedding, but you're not extending that invitation to his ex. If she crashed the wedding, it is what it is. But you know, because it's family friends. But the other thing I want to say about that before we move on to the next one, what my mama friends got to do with my marriage, and what my mama's friends chillings got to do with my marriage. So if he can't tighten up and draw a line in the sand and respect his wife more than his mama's friends, that's not the man for you. He ain't ready to marry nobody. That's my take on that. He need to tighten up and have a zone and say, look, ma, I know you can come, you can bring your husband and you can plus one the neighbor. You know what I mean? But don't be trying to drag their daughter into my marriage so that my wife can be uncomfortable on her wedding day. You know, if she want to crash the wedding, I'm not giving her an invitation, but you know what I mean? So, that's my perspective on that. Now let's go ahead and go touch base because I got some time today. We got some more that we're gonna get into, but I just thought that one was wild. I thought that one was wild. Y'all let me know what y'all think as we go through these.
Girlfriend slapped me. Should I stay or leave? I'm 25 working. She's 22 college student. We've been together 2 years. We are close and talk openly. But whenever I ask about her studies, she gets angry and won't talk properly. Almost every time we go out, deli places, food, shopping, we end up fighting. If I don't like the place or food she chooses, she fights. I pay for everything. She never pays. Yesterday things crossed a line. During a small argument while returning from deli, she slapped me in public. My glasses fell far away. She keeps saying sorry and says it was a mistake, but I can't forgive it. She cares about me and loves me. I love her too. She's loyal and always ready for intimacy. But honestly, she doesn't improve me or push me to grow. I'm also scared to leave because I don't have many friends and don't think I can get another girl. I feel stuck. Should I stay or leave? Is this anger issues or something worse? When I asked her to break up, she started crying. So I couldn't break up.
So first off, that is anger issues. She does need some anger management classes alongside some therapy. Uh, you have some attachment issues. You need some therapy separate from her because you need to be able to function on your own as a grown ass man. Um, Thirdly, if I'm paying for everything, ain't nobody arguing with me on what the hell I'm paying for. There are times that I'm going to take her to where she want to go, but there are times that I'm going to go where I want to go. There are going to be times where I want something different than what she want, and I'm going to take her to go get what she want after I go get what I want because I want her stuff to be hot because I don't care if I eat my stuff cold. If she going to be pissed off because today of all days she want pasta and I want Taco Bell, I go get the Taco Bell first and then go get the pasta, and she bitching at the whole time I'm in the drive through with the Taco Bell, that's not the right person for me. Because at the end of the day, we don't have to eat the exact same thing on a regular basis. We have options. In my family, we have like a treasure hunt of food. Like we'll go to like 8 different places and put what we like from each different location together like a potluck of fast food restaurants. If you like Chick-fil-A and I like McDonald's, we can do Chick-fil-A, McDonald's, Wendy's, go get us a Sonic shake. You know what I mean? We can go to Olive Garden and Chili's. We can stop off by Applebee's, hit that karaoke night, grab us a couple martinis on the way back to the house. We don't have to just go to where you want to go. Okay. Now, I'm going to say this. She is abusive because whenever she don't get her way, she fighting with you. If that would have been a man, every woman in this podcast and every woman on the face of the earth would say, "Leave him." She hitting you in public. I don't care if she hitting you at the house. If that would have been a man, you'd have been sitting in jail. Ain't no hands being thrown in a relationship. So while you might have a lot invested in her emotionally and you got a lot invested in her financially, the fact that y'all have been doing this for, you said, 2 years, and she has been verbally aggressive for 2 years and now she has gotten so comfortable with you that she is starting to be violent, that is going to lead to, if you stay in this type of relationship, to her always using aggression to force you into submission. And then when her aggression doesn't force you into submission, violence will be used to force you into submission. And your glasses went flying. That's a red flag for me because my glasses cost $800, and I'm not spending $1,000 per slap to replace glasses that she broke because she was angry. Now, about this unaddressed violence, because women swear to God that men are more violent than women, and that's not true. Socially, it is acceptable for women to be violent, and socially, it is more acceptable for women to be overly emotional and um, act erratic. If the men behave the way women behave, men will be in jail on at the drop of a hat. But a woman can slap a man, hit a man with objects, degrade and devalue a man, talk about his mama, all of the stuff that a man is not allowed to do. And that double standard is a huge toxic problem because the way that he better not behave with you is the way you're willing to treat him. And I don't think that that's right. However, I also understand that people behave, men and women alike, behave in a relationship based on what they've learned, familiarity, meaning that if you grew up in a household where this type of behavior was done, doesn't matter who it was done to, and it doesn't matter whether you're a male or a female, whether you see mom hitting on dad or dad hitting on mom, you, whether you're a boy or a girl, are going to be in a relationship thinking that you can lash out from a stressful day on your partner, smack them around a bit, and that's called love because that's what you grew up in. Now, understanding this, she has to detach that type of behavior from a healthy relationship before you can maintain a relationship with her. I make it clear. Uh, hashtag Chris Brown first sight. Uh, we go on the blows. You put your hands on me, we go on the blows. This is going to be a scenario where you're not throwing a drink on me, you're not hitting me with no inanimate objects, you're not going to put your hands on me because violence begets violence in my house, and the options are that either I go to jail for my response, or that's the end of the relationship. And if I go to jail for that response, that's the end of the relationship. So if you want to be in a if you want to be in a healthy relationship, ladies, y'all need to not don't use violence as play. No play fighting. Don't be hitting him and slapping him and kicking him and oh, that's love test. No, because if he was doing that to you and you had black eyes and broken jaws and stuff like that, talk about some love test, they be putting you in a shelter. Don't be hitting on your man for no reason. Don't even slap his arm and play. Because first and foremost, a lot of men, especially the men that grew up tough, hitting on men who have had to fight their way through life could trigger that man to hit you in the mouth on reflex. Because again, men and women alike come out of different walks of life and come out of different trauma zones. And you hitting on him just because he don't hit you back does not mean that you're not gonna trigger a response. And if you hit him hard enough, you're gonna trigger a response. Just because today he could take that hit because he ain't done nothing today, don't mean that next week when he's full of pain and he's been working all week and he's tired and his body hurt and then you come and hit him and especially if you hit him in an injury that he didn't tell you about, he's in so much pain like a wounded animal, he's just gonna take off on you. You don't need that. What y'all need to do is y'all need to be able to communicate and negotiate. So as it stands in your relationship is over because you got a woman that's smacking you around. But if you want to try to recover something, you're gonna have to put her in some anger management. Maybe she a college student, have a sign up for communication classes. She's a college student. Ethics, psychology, She could take these as electives and learn how to treat you better. There's a college course about love. She could love and communication, love languages. She can take that as college courses and learn how to treat you better and also go to therapy. Okay. By the time she get out of college, she should be able to graduate into a relationship with you. But if she's not gonna change, bro, you need to walk out of that because that ain't gonna get no better. And there's only so many times that you're gonna allow her to hit you that hard that your glasses come flying off your. You see how hard it takes for me to get these glasses off my face? For her to hit you that hard for the glasses to go flying, bro, you could have lost a tooth. We ain't playing them games. And before we move on to the next comment, ladies, y'all gonna have to stop hitting on men. Y'all are gonna have to stop hitting on men. Hashtag Me Too movement. Y'all gotta stop hitting on these men because nothing that a man can do in your relationship can cause you to get violent with him in ways that you would not tolerate him to get violent with you. Hands down. It makes absolutely no sense. If you get mad, so mad that you could punch something, so mad that you could slap something, do what men do. Go for a drive. Go get a drink at the bar. Go hang out with your homies until you calm down. Go by your mom and them until you calm down. When you come back with mutual respect. You come back with the ability to communicate. You come back with the ability to work this issue out. But if you can get so mad so fast that you can give your partner whiplash, sweetheart, you don't need to be in a relationship. You need to be in a mental institution on some lithium until you can get that under control. Because incredible hawking on your husband, that is not where it's at. And society has allowed women to be violent. And most societies in most countries allow women to be violent. But equal rights get equal lefts, and there is no reason for a woman to be violent. And that's a bad example for the children too. Because when y'all have kids and y'all in the house and you hitting on him, that is the same type of domestic violence as if he was hitting on you. You are not supposed to teach your children that it is okay to express yourself through violence. So don't express yourself through violence. If you can't talk it out right now, let's I'll catch a cab and I'll meet you at the house. But we not fighting. And if we ride in the car, if we gonna ride together and I'm gonna sit in the back seat. But we not fighting with one another. You know what I mean? Because that's not good for y'all. And if y'all can't work that one concept out, I don't know why the hell y'all lasted 2 years. If y'all can't work that one concept out, do not hit me. That should be a non-negotiable expectation for behavior. Do not hit me. Zero tolerance on that. Because I would have said the same thing if that would have been a female having on this. I'd been like, girl, you should have been left him. But because it's a dude, then we have this issue where we're supposed to take that, and then we also have this other issue where it's hard for men to get that next girl, not just because it's hard for us to be accepted by women, but because it takes a lot more for a man to detach from a woman than it is for a woman to detach from a man, because women detach from the men before they leave. Men detach from the women after the women are gone. So it's harder for a man to move on than it is for a woman to move on because she was done emotionally before she verbalized that she was done. See what I'm saying? Doesn't matter what the recovery phase is after a breakup. She emotionally broke up long before the breakup was seen by the man. The man starts the recovery phase from a breakup long after the breakup. And people don't really acknowledge that. And they wonder why, it's so hard. When you think about after a breakup, doesn't matter who moves on first. How fast does a second relationship move? If you was with your first person for 5 years and the relationship was kind of stagnant, but then the second relationship is like 18 months in, they're married with 2 kids, that's probably because that second relationship was going on while the first relationship existed. You think about, say a death in a family, like one of the partners died and the second one gets married and has kids like 5 months after the that means that the relationship was going on before the death. You got to understand that if you're going to put value into your relationship until it's over, you have to put value throughout the whole thing, communication and all. But if you're not, shoot, only one of y'all is going to be putting in effort, and that's going to be a rocky road because the other one is fed up, the other one is done, they just ain't said nothing about it, and the one that's putting in all the effort is frustrated. And that frustration is going to lead to resentment, and that resentment is going to be taken out, and that's going to be extra arguments. But in most relationships, if the woman is not happy, the man is not allowed to be happy, and if the man is not happy, who cares? So 100% of breakups. How you doing, Nicole? Special shout out for Detroit, Michigan. 100% of the breakups, men are not happy, but um, you know, 100% of the time the women leave, the women are not happy. Uh, but the truth of the matter is that we fail to see exactly how much effort because I very rarely and this is one of the things that I've been confused about because two of the women were in there were talking on the show today out of the three people that we had throw some comments in there and um this guy he jumped up and he said the one thing that is clear because I asked y'all this last time ladies what do y'all do to build the man up before y'all walk out of the relationship because in my experience we put a lot of effort into the relationship financially. We support her career. We support her education. We support her ambitions. Typically, by the time the relationship is over, depending on how good the man is, she got a newer car, better house or apartment. She's got degrees. She's got a better job. She's living in a better neighborhood. Like she upgraded from this relationship. But at what point during the relationship did he benefit from her presence? I usually don't hear that part. Usually I'm confused because like she's so unsatisfied when she leaves the relationship. These women are so unsatisfied when they leave the relationship. But my question is, um, yeah, it's Sunday, Dylan. You can ask your questions. My question is, you know, when did you do something in the relationship that was valuable to the relationship, to the partner? I mean, keeping the relationship afloat requires some kind of effort. What effort was it? And typically, when I get responses from women when we talk about it, I typically hear uh certain conversations like chores. Like, I cook for him, I do his laundry, I this, that, and the third. But that don't make him better. That just allows him to go to work with a full stomach and a clean uniform. Like, what did you do? Did you, help him prepare for a promotion? Did you help him expand his business? What did you do? You know, did you help him improve his credit score so that he could buy himself a new car after he bought you one? Like, what did you do? He said, no, it's Monday now. Well, I mean, if you're gonna split hairs like that, Dylan, I mean, hey, this is Sunday night's show where questions and comments run wild tonight for the most part, as long as they're appropriately designed. So, if tonight's not the night to ask questions, then you're gonna have to wait until next Sunday night. So we've been on for at least an hour. So you could have jumped in and threw some questions in. He said, how's a man to heal himself after he leaves a woman? So that's a good question. Um, a man is going to heal himself a lot differently than a woman is going to heal himself. But one of the first things you have to do to heal yourself in a relationship, regardless of whether or not you're a man or a woman, is to disconnect the communication from your ex 100% of the way. So the first step you're going to have to do is you're going to have to block them on all areas of social media. You're going to have to make sure that you block them on your text messages, emails, everything. Completely cut off conversation with them. Now, the next thing that you're going to have to do, and this is a big thing, You have to delete their communication. Delete them off of your friends list, delete them off of your phone list, delete them off of your email list. It's block first, then delete. And the reason why that is because most people these days don't remember phone numbers. We don't remember emails. And if you block and delete them, there you're not going to be able to communicate with them. Now, the next step is that you're going to have to, he said, done and well past that. Now, the next step you have to do is you have to get over the emotional roller coaster. Sometimes you need to talk about these things, which means that if you don't have a buddy that you can talk to about this, you can always get you a therapist to talk about this. But whatever emotions and feelings that you have from the last relationship, that's what you have to get off of your chest so that you can get a level of closure without having to go back and deal with the toxicity of the old relationship. Um, the other thing that I recommend that you do, though, that not very many people do, is you fix what was broken in you. Meaning, there were things in your last relationship that you didn't do that you should have done. And there were things in your last relationship that you did do that you should not have done. And you need to be able to analyze your last relationship in comparison to every other past relationship that you had and find out in yourself what did or did not happen from your side that contributed to the failure of the relationship. Not enough time, too much time. Not enough attention, too much attention. Not enough effort, too much effort. What what was the imbalance? And then change that. Not enough money, too much money. Change that. And then once you have corrected those issues, then you want to start slowly. And the first thing you want to do is you want to just communicate with a new person for the sake of communication, not necessarily to dive directly back into another relationship because it might take you a few months, it might take you a couple of years. It depends on how long your relationship was and how emotionally involved you were. So you want to start by socializing with people first, where you can have a conversation with another person without talking about your ex, when you can have a conversation with another person without bursting into tears. Once you get to that level, then you can start hanging out with other people. Not necessarily at your own expense, but you want to go and hang out with other people. When you're able to hang out with other people and you're able to have an open communication that is about your present and your future, not about your past, that is the moment that you know that you are ready to start dating somebody new. But if you are in a conversation, you're dating a female, you're in a conversation, first 5 dates, and you're talking to your date about your ex, you're not ready to date. Plain and simple. I don't care if they ask you about your ex. They ask you how did your last relationship end. The fact is that if you're sitting here talking about your ex in this scenario, you're not ready to move forward. And some people are going to say, oh no, I can talk about my ex all day long and be healthy and happy in my current relationship. I beg to differ. The fact is that your mentality is going to be based off of all of your life's experiences. And any trauma that you harbor from your last relationship will negatively impact your current relationship. So, if on the forefront of your mind is your last relationship, guess what's also on the forefront of your mind? The trauma from your last relationship. Think about it like this: everybody has at least quit or gotten fired at least once in their life by the time y'all done reach 35, 40 years old. So, most of y'all on the show right now, because I done looked at the algorithm, most of y'all are well over 25. The largest majority of the people that follow this show are in their 30s and above. So I ain't even got to ask the ladies how old they are. I already know how old y'all are because the algorithm told me how old you was when I looked at it this morning. So what that mean? Let me ask you this question real quick. Can you tell me why you got fired from the last 5 jobs you got fired? A lot of times you're going to say unreconcilable differences. You're not going to say that you got mad at the boss or you came late or you did what you did to get yourself fired. But if you ask, why did you quit? the last 5 jobs that you quit. You can say all of the negative things about your employer, right? Now, put that in the dynamic of a relationship. If your last relationship, he said, I'm finding it difficult to trust. Of course, you're going to find it difficult to trust. Not you in particular. Not, but if uh, if you think about your last relationship, if somebody asked you what went wrong in your last relationship, if the only thing you can do is point fingers at the other person, you did not find any fault in yourself, which means you did not improve at all from your last relationship. And that's why I say you're not going to be able to move forward. You're not ready to move forward. And right now you're saying that you're having difficulty with trusting. We're all going to have that issue because first and foremost, trust is given, it's not earned. There's this like rumor mill going around where people lie to each other and say, "Oh, you have to earn my trust." No, I don't. You give me your trust, and then I have to maintain that trust. The first time that somebody babysit your child, how did they earn your trust? They didn't. You're hoping that this doesn't end badly. The second time that person babysits your child is because you trust them since they didn't mess it up the first time. The first time you give somebody your car, what did they do to earn your trust? Nothing. You gave them the car and hope that they don't crash and they bring it back not crashed. Now you trust them to take the car and bring it back not crashed. When you get into a relationship, how can you trust them with your heart? You don't. You gave it to them and you hope that they don't fuck this shit up. And for a while, they might not. But when they do, when they can dance all over your heart, when they just stomped all over your heart and crit walk all over your heart, your trust in them betrayed long time ago, and you dealt with the emotional abuse based on loyalty because men don't leave. 80% of the time, men don't leave. They will take that abuse and hope that things get better. But the dynamic is that once you get out of that relationship, you don't know if you're capable of getting back into one because you don't want to get hurt again. If she cheated on you, you don't want to be cheated on again. Look at Will Smith. He swore to God he wasn't going to get cheated on again after the first time. And look at what Jada Pinkett did with him. Two other men. It's bound to happen. It's bound to happen. Somebody is going to do something that you don't like that you wish that they would not have done. But that doesn't mean that you stop living. Now, if you're going to have zero tolerance towards cheating, you got a lot of work to do because you have to make sure that your partner has everything that she needs to have less of a reason to cheat without being overbearing. She has to put in more effort in you to make sure that you have all of the things that you need in a relationship so that you have less of a reason to cheat without being overbearing. Y'all have to communicate on a weekly basis, if not a monthly basis, to make sure that everybody's satisfied in a relationship so that nobody has a reason to go anywhere else. But again, the absence of emotional investment, the absence of physical time, the absence of effort, y'all can have a good situation going where there are no other problems outside of the relationship is boring. And she'll get excitement from smashing a dude in a nightclub because she wanted the thrill, not because she wanted to hurt your feelings. So we have to find out what's going on a regular basis with our partner to make sure that all of their needs are met. And that is how you reduce, because there isn't a solution to eliminate infidelity, but you can reduce the probability of infidelity if your partner is satisfied in the relationship. Because the biggest thing that causes people to cheat from people who otherwise would not cheat is specifically what they're missing in their current relationship. They find that outside of their relationship. And that leads to infidelity, whether it's the lack of emotional connection. You're welcome, man. You're whether it's the lack of physical contact, whatever that is, they're going to find that outside of the relationship. And once they do, that's going to lead to a relationship where they're having an affair with somebody else and everything to that effect. You definitely have a productive night as well. I greatly appreciate you stopping by, Mr. Zeno. I really appreciate you. Make sure y'all like and subscribe as y'all pop up. Hit those notification buttons because we're going to be talking about money Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Let's go ahead and touch base on the next one.
I don't get my partner. I'm 29 and he's 30. I will never understand why someone would want to start a family so bad. Act like it's all they ever wanted in life. And do whatever they can to help themselves or just show up for everyone else but the family he made. Got a overtired mama who doesn't get to leave the house and a confused baby on why her dad needs to be gone for 3 days when his family lives an hour away. Also, not the first instance he has to leave for a stretch of days. Could do a day trip, but what do I know, LMAO, and didn't even do what he came out there to do. Tell me, do y'all think he's just running away from responsibilities? Because that's all I see at this point. Always a reason to not help or be gone.
Uh, okay, so I got some issues with this. First and foremost, men want families. Now we got some men that want the family atmosphere, but not necessarily know how to maintain it. So I'm not going to say that all men are going to get into this family thing and do it right, especially since this is the first time. But what I am going to say is that you hit a trigger right then and there, the moment that you jumped up and stated that the baby is confused. That psychological and emotional manipulation is probably going to be one of the reasons why he leaves because he tired of you dogging him out emotionally. And instead of him lashing out on you, he leaves. Now, here's the thing. This is his family. That's his baby. He can go on a 3-day excursion with his family, but every other 3-day excursion, he need to take the baby with him because that's his child. Let grandma babysit while he out on his 3-day excursion because, like you said, you a tired mama. If he need a 3-day, because people need we need time away from, and a child is a 24/7 stressor. So we need time away from the stress so that we don't have to deal with no shaken baby syndrome or nothing like that. So really and truly, just saying, hey, look, I ain't got no problem with you going by your family for 3 days. Take the child though. Let me get 3 days every other time. Cause sometimes he need to get away from just you. But you got the baby. So that means he's gonna get away from the baby because he's getting away from you. Sometimes you need the baby to get away from you, just the baby. Because babies, I don't care how much people say they love their children, children get on your damn nerves. As much as we want to be parents, a child that cries for the sake of crying get on your damn nerves. They crying all day. They cry so long they don't know how to stop because they've been crying so long. Like crying is supposed to be normal kind of thing. You can't yell at them. You can't hit them because they're crying. Because I mean, this is what babies do, and that gets annoying. So while we understand this, you need a break. Get your break by letting him take his child with him to go to his family house for 3 days. It don't matter if he accomplished what he was trying to accomplish when he went out there. What matters is that you got a 3-day vacation. I seen earlier Dylan had asked me if I had seen something about a 3-day week. And the 3-day holiday, I'm guessing that you are referring to the because I got a 3-day holiday right now because I'm off today, tomorrow, yesterday. I think you're talking about like Christmas. Like they're gonna give us Friday, Saturday, Sunday off because of the Christmas holiday coming up. And if it work out correctly, because I don't remember when the first is, but if the first end up shortly thereafter, we have another 3-day holiday right around the corner. But you should be making you some bank because everybody need a ride right now with all the drunk drivers that we got on the block. So back to this lady with the baby. Um, yeah, you need to communicate with your man that you're stressed and you need a break. And whether he stay home with the child and you do a 3-day excursion, or he take the child with him and let him do his 3 day excursion. One way or another, you need 2 or 3 days away for the baby. Outside of that, just stop complaining. Because life is hard with children, no matter how good you are, no matter how many times you've had one, it's always frustrating. The only difference is that the more kids you have, the more kids you got to help you with the child. And technically, if we really want to talk about proper parenting, we're technically not supposed to have our children raising our children for us, but that's what we do. Once they start turning 15, 16, 17 years old, sometimes 7, 8, 9 years old, help me with the baby, go make the bottle, change the diapers, this, that, and the third. And ironically, socially, we more often than not put that on the females in the families, and I don't understand why we do that neither. But if all we got are boys, the boys are doing it too. The boys, hey, help me with the child. Watch your little brother while I go do X, Y, and Z because we need help. So, and statistics show that happiness levels off right around 3 kids at $100,000 a year, and after that, it's just mundane because the extra kids help out with the kids. So, what you really got to look at is, especially if you've only got one child, y'all need to take turns taking breaks. But just being, but treating him like he running from his responsibility, that's emotional manipulation, and you shouldn't be doing that. He's not running from he's not running from his responsibilities. Okay, just because you don't get a break, don't mean he running from his responsibilities. But also, if you think about the fact that you're clinging with the child, you got to breastfeed them. You got to do this. You got to do that. You got to. The words got to, not want to, got to, makes it your responsibility, which takes away from his responsibility. And since it's no longer his responsibility, since you got to have the baby, if I need a break from you, I got to get a break from the baby too because I can't have the baby. The baby's your responsibility. You made that clear. If I need a break from the baby, I got to get away from you too because you said the baby's your responsibility. You made that clear. And as a result, if I'm gone for 3 days because one of y'all is getting on my damn nerves, then I'm gone for 3 days. But now, if you start talking about equality, egalitarian sharing, if you ain't got no problem with your child, you take your child, and I'm you get a break from me, and then vice versa, we'll get a babysitter and get a break from the child. Everybody needs space. Look, teenagers need space from their parents. Yeah, 7, 8, 9 years old, they need space from their parents. Let me go spend a night by little Jimmy house. You know what I mean? But y'all be thank God they're gone, right? So just factor that in. Just factor that into your relationship that y'all need a break. But don't treat him bad because he's taking a break. Just remind him that it's your turn. That's all I'm saying. Let's go ahead and get into the next one.
How do I tell my wife my ex lives across the street? So I moved states quite a few years ago. That's where I met my current wife. Fast forward a few years, and I wanted to move back home to be closer to my family. We looked at a few houses and found the perfect one. We closed in August. I had never seen the neighbors across the street come or go. Assumed they were just homebodies. One day a few weeks ago, a guy was outside the neighbor's house working on their car in the garage. I was outside working on the lawn trimming before it got too cold. He came over and asked if I had a certain type of tool. I did, and I lended it to him. We talked about life for a bit, and he was ranting about work and family issues. Chill dude, and we got along nicely. About a week ago, I needed that tool back. I saw his car outside, so I assumed he was home. I crossed the street to go knock on the door to ask if I could have it back, so I could use it, and his wife answers the door. Lo and behold, this was my ex from 5 years ago. The feeling of seeing each other seemed pretty mutual. I was more so confused, but also terrified. She was confused and had to ask what I was doing there. I explained to her why, and we both ended the conversation with a kind of eerie feeling. We have lived in this house for almost 4 months, but I don't want things to be weird when needing to go outside for something. I don't want my wife feeling uncomfortable. I think I need to add some more info. This ex was super psychotic, and when she found out I had moved states and started dating someone else, she had sent both of us threats online and harassing us. But this was also years ago. She's now also married, so maybe she's calmed down and is more mature now.
Uh, all right. So, uh, I'm double sided on this one. Now, okay. So first and foremost, this is going to be a problem with telling your wife. Reason being is because hands down, no matter how you spend this, she is going to accuse you of knowing that your ex lived there. It sounded to me that you might have to put your house up for sale. I don't know. Uh, I have never thought about this before, but you can, when buying a house, you can survey the neighborhood, meaning check the deeds of all the owners of all the houses in the neighborhood. It's public record who owns this house. And if the 8 houses near your house are not anybody that you know, you can buy that house. And that don't take that long. That could really only take like 30 minutes maybe online to just do a deed search on each of the houses that are online. Okay. It's gonna take some to doing because you gotta go probably on Zillow or something like that and get the address and then find the parcel number and then take the parcel number and put that into an advanced Google search and that's gonna pull up the last owner who bought the house and that's like the free way of doing things because you could pay for a background check uh app thing that charge you like $10, $15 a month just for you to just look at all of the previous owners of each address in the neighborhood kind of thing. And that's another way to go about doing it where you know everybody that lives in the neighborhood that you're about to go into, make sure nobody's any offenders, stuff to that effect, and you'll be good to go. Right? Now, uh beyond that, beyond that, there isn't anything that you could have done if you would not have known beforehand who lived next door to you. Once you bought the house, that's your financial responsibility until you sell it. Now, keeping secrets from your wife, not a good idea. Because when she finds out, since she knows who your ex is, when she finds out, she's going to come and tell you. And if she finds out before she comes and tells you that you knew, she's gonna be even madder at you than what she would be if you just came out and told her. So, double-edged sword. Uh, your best bet is to just tell your wife the truth that one of the neighbors came over, borrowed a tool, I lent it to him. I went over there to go get the tool back. His wife answered the door, and the wife turns out to be the ex that used to send us threatening letters. I don't know what you want to do about this, but I just found out about it, and I'm about as shocked about it as you are. This wasn't in our plans. I don't know. Do you want us to put the house up for sale, or can we work this out? What do you want to do? Put the whole decision in her lap. Why? And I know some women are gonna be like, "Oh, that's not fair," but is it though? Is it though? Because as a man, her husband ain't did me nothing. So we could be buddies working on cars together, go fishing on weekends, bowling, hunting ranges, stuff to that effect. My wife, on the other hand, is not going to be okay with this other woman. We're not going to be couple friends because my wife and my ex-wife, or my wife and my ex-girlfriend, are not going to be friends with the way my ex-girlfriend was behaving. And I do not want my wife to be uncomfortable in a new house that we bought. So the whole decision is hers. If you want to stay here, we'll work something out. If you don't want to stay next to her, we'll put the house back up for sale. And as soon as we can sell it, we're gone. But until we sell it, we got to stay here. So don't let the house get burned down. That's the best thing you can do with that because keeping that a secret, that's not going to help you. Now, had this been an ex that had no contact with your wife don't even know who your ex is, that would have been a moment where I would have said, don't start something that don't need to be started. Just keep it to yourself. Because if she don't know who the other woman is, and you're not going to affiliate with them now, or at least not with the woman enough for your current wife to realize that your ex is living next door, you be all right. But again, that's going to be a situation if you live in a neighborhood long enough, 2 years, 5 years, your wife, especially being a social person, might be friends with all the neighbors and then come to find out that the neighborhood book club, that one of the other girls in the book club is your ex. And she gonna come home and 5 years down the line, why didn't you tell me? So again, you know, that's a bad situation to be in, man. I would hate to be in that situation. But see, you got some unresolved issues. You just gotta resolve them. I don't want to call it karma, but something happened in your life because to the irony of buying a house next door to your, this isn't like going to the same restaurant as your ex on the first date. You bought a house next door to the house that your ex live at. That's creepy for her, but that's creepy for you. You got some shit you got to deal with there, brother. But I tell you what, I'd be calling the real estate agent.
I'm a 21-year-old male living at home with both of my immigrant parents while finishing my last year of university. I've never lived on campus, and while I'm grateful to be able to stay at home, it honestly hurts sometimes. I watch my friends build independence, have experiences, and spend time together, while I'm always on the outside looking in. Because I live far away, they rarely invite me out, and I feel like I missed a big part of the university experience. My parents are extremely controlling, especially when it comes to me going out. Every time I leave the house, I get constant calls and texts asking where I am, who I'm with, and when I'm coming home. My mom will sometimes demand that I FaceTime her so she can see what I'm doing and who I'm with. Even though I'm an adult, it feels like I'm still being treated like a child with no privacy or independence. Things escalated recently when my dad found a grinder with some weed residue in it. That turned into a heated argument, and he ended up putting his hands on me. That moment really shook me and made me seriously question whether staying at home is healthy for me anymore, both emotionally and mentally. I'm trying to understand if I'm being unreasonable for wanting to move out and create my own space, or if my parents are justified in how they treat me because I live under their roof. I know cultural differences play a role, but I'm struggling to figure out where the line is between concern and control. I'd really appreciate hearing from anyone who's been in a similar situation or has perspective on this.
Okay, so I'm gonna come from an American perspective. Concern and control are on the same side of the fence. Uh, Here's the deal: you grown and you're not self-sufficient. So let's start with you feeling bad that you missed out on college. Ain't shit happening at college. You've got frat parties. You've got uh frat parties. That's it. That's it. So outside of going to college and doing your schoolwork, if you join a student club and they go on a field trip, which you could go on, the only thing you're missing out on is sorority parties that invite frat boys or frat parties that invite sorority girls. And that's all you're missing out on in the college experience. So you can get that same experience by going to a bar or a club. Reason being is because if you're not affiliated in a frat, where you are more entitled to the communication of a sister sorority, you are going to be the same outcast in the frat party that you would have been at the clubs, and you're not really missing out on anything with that. Unless you're like a stud and like everybody's coming to talk to you kind of thing. You know what I mean? Now, about your family situation. So I love this next generation, the way they try to make it seem like it's an abusive scenario when they get disciplined. You said you got found out in your house that you had weed and weed utensils in your house, and your daddy beat your ass, and you frustrated about it, and out of rebellion, you're gonna move out. Okay. So had you been on campus, you'd have went to jail for having drugs on campus. Um, so him beating your ass at the house, that's called parenting. Um, because when you say, well, he put his hands on me, well, you're a 21-year-old man. Did he slap you in the face, slap you in the back of the head? Did he punch you in the gut? Like what do you mean? Because when you say he put his hands on me, he could have put you over his leg and got you behind with a belt. The fact is that you are utilizing unnecessarily recreational drugs. There's He could sit down and talk to you about it, but I mean, hell, typically parents are gonna see that, thinking that their child was better than that, get so frustrated in the moment that their discipline style is far beyond what you believe is reasonable because everybody does it, right? Even your parents might have used to do it when they were kids, but they know that it's not right. And that's why they don't want you to do it. Because while marijuana doesn't kill people like cigarettes do, um, there have been situations where it is recognized that short-term memory loss does happen, and it can negatively impact uh, how you're capable of learning in school. So being toe down from the flow down is gonna mess up your grades. So yeah, they will be mad with you. How you doing, Adora? Good to see you again. I'm hanging in there. Uh, we had got the show started a whole 40 minutes late, but we still running a 2 hour marathon, so we still in here. Uh, Coming through, covering like I told you on Sundays, we're doing the questions and comments. So people asking questions, and I'm doing the best I can to answer them. But I'm coming from a very logical and rational perspective. So we haven't had many uh questions that came up that will put me in a position with like one of those red pill, blue pill, black pill scenarios. But uh we've been pretty close. And I love to hear y'all's opinions. So, ladies, if y'all got opinions, y'all can always throw them into the comment section. And if some of y'all ladies want to jump onto the show with y'all opinions, y'all can always click that link in the comments section and approve the mic, approve the camera, and it brings y'all up on real time. But since everybody gonna see what you look like, you might want to make sure that your hair did, nails did, everything did. Wear something appropriate because they're probably gonna be able to see like at least from your shoulders up, unless you kind of like do your little kickstand in the back, you know, just in case you didn't know. Want to make sure that you know. You know what I mean? But let's go ahead and move into the next one because I know we got at least two or three more.
My husband smashed our truck NAV screen in anger in front of our kids. In 17 years of marriage, he's never done anything like this. WTF do I do now? Deep breath. I am 28 weeks pregnant with our fifth child. We've been married 17 years together for 20. We have a good relationship and my husband has never ever displayed anger issues like this in the past. Mostly he's the quiet, reserved type. Here's what happened. Today we got $1,776 deposited in our bank because some White House order giving that money to active duty members, which he is. We've been needing stuff for the new baby. We thought we were done with our last one who is 6 now and didn't keep any baby items. So today we went to the baby thrift store in our city. We set a budget of $200 for baby stuff and he made a budget with the rest of it to pay off a credit card, put some in savings, pay some bills. All day he's been super pissy about the money. Like worried about finances, making sure the money gets spent wisely, talks of how it's on him as a provider, etc. I said that's fine that he can be in charge of it, but I wish he'd just be happy because this was money we weren't expecting. He kept telling me, make sure you don't go over that $200 because I've already allocated the rest. And I said I would be careful, and I was. So I go into the thrift store and leave our other kiddos in the truck with him, 12, 9, 6. Our oldest is in college in another state. When I come back out, he is standing behind the truck and is fighting back tears. He tells me I'm going to be furious with him and that he feels awful, but that while I was inside he was stressed about money, and then the kids were fighting and acting up and he got upset at our middle child, the 9-year-old, and he hit his phone against the screen in the truck. I was like, huh? We don't even spank our kids, to put in perspective how blindsided and confused I was. Anyway, there's the damage in the picture. Front. Kids. I told him straight up that's abusive. I told him he needs to immediately apologize to our boys and tell them that's not their fault and that what he did was
No,
wrong and completely his own fault. He said he
no.
did that. Kids didn't seem to be upset, but I am furious. I don't play with domestic violence. I grew up in foster care and I vowed to never ever put my kids through that. Ever. And I consider breaking this screen an act of domestic violence. Worse, because the anger involved was directed at our child. I am at a complete loss. This is so completely out of character for him after 2 decades. It would be like watching Bob Ross do this. That's how chill he normally is. Part of me wishes I could go stay somewhere else a few nights with the kids. But then again, it's
Well, I'm about
almost
to get in
Christmas.
that.
I am just flabbergasted. If anyone has any advice, I'd sure appreciate it. My fight mode is activated and I love my husband, but our
Hold on, we got another person jumping right in there. I'm gonna get to that one in just a second. You said why you say no. Okay, so um, this is gonna touch some people feeling sensitivity and stuff. Okay, so check this out. The man is frustrated about money. He ain't got enough coming in, but he's got a lot of it going out. Mom's in the stove shopping. He got the 3 kids in the car. They wilding out. Y'all don't put y'all hands on y'all kids, and y'all should be beating some asses. I'm from the old school. We do corporal punishment, but y'all want to talk to them. Y'all want to sit them down. Y'all want to negotiate with them. But you have to understand, children that do not receive discipline are harder to control than children that receive discipline. What's that going to cause is when you ask them to stop and you tell them to stop and you repeat that they should stop, they will not stop. You're already stressed out, you're already frustrated, and that frustration is going to continue to spike because these children will not stop. You've got 3 kids in a small vehicle. They're not outside. They're in a small vehicle, whether it's an SUV or whatever, within slapping distance of one another. You got one in the front and 3 in the back, or all 3 in the back because mom was sitting in the front, and everybody's fighting with one another in the back seat. And you got to break that up, and eventually you are going to do something. So instead of hitting one of the kids, you threw your phone at the front of the car and it broke the screen. That is not domestic violence. Domestic violence would have been slamming one kid's head against the other kid's head to make them stop. That would have been violence. Okay. He ventilized some anger at the fact that they will not stop. Now, could he have done something different? Could he have taken all 3 kids out of the car and had them stand up against the car, face the car until mama came out? He could have took them somewhere else. But guess what? They didn't go with mom into the stove because that behavior would have been in the stove. Why you think mama left the children in the car? Because them children do not behave well. I do not believe that, ladies, y'all should not try to devalue a man's stress and frustration by calling it abuse. Because first and foremost, if this man is under so much pressure, probably because you're at home taking care of the kids, which you're doing a good job of that. But at the same time, he's the only one bringing in enough money, bringing in the money. He knows he's not bringing in enough. He needs help and he can't find that help. Okay. But you need help and he's there helping you out. So while the husband is putting everything on the line to make sure that you got as little amount of stress as this he can help you with, nobody's helping him with his stress. His stress is going to bottle up and eventually it's going to come out. Now, that's going to mean that you're going to force him to apologize to the kids and say, "Oh, I was wrong because y'all wouldn't stop when I told y'all to stop, and I lost my temper because y'all won't stop when I tell y'all to stop." And so when I threw the phone out of anger, which I should not have done, that is all my fault. Look, cause and effect is uh she said, "I don't agree with everything you say." Well, explain to me why that is. Because the cause and effect is that if the children are not behaving appropriately and you continuously tell them and ask them to stop, This leads to a parent yelling at a child. And some people are going to say that's abusive. But again, if you're pushing your parents' buttons, your parents are going to snap at you. If you're pushing your wife's buttons, it's okay for her to snap at you. But if your wife is pushing your husband's buttons, oh, let it happen. You cannot test men and say that a man is not allowed to be overly emotional in a situation the way a woman would be because he's a man. At the end of the day, if the situation was too much stress for him to be in and that's how he reacted, he does have to apologize to the children. I'm not saying he doesn't have to apologize to the children, but that's not abuse. That's an overly stressed man. Abuse would have been him smacking the kids around because he felt like it. Abuse would have been him yelling and fussing and cussing at the kids because he felt like it. But the fact is that he was overly stressed out and he just had enough. And with them three kids, he yelled at one of them and threw the phone and broke the thing. It's not, and by all means, tell me I got time because we I got nothing to do. I can sit here for 3 hours, and you need a little bit of time to type up your message. You can, and if you want to click the link, approve the mic, approve the camera, you can jump onto the screen and tell me why you think I'm wrong. I don't have a problem with that. But my thought process behind it is that ladies, when y'all get upset about something, if y'all get hurt, scared, anxious, excited, y'all might throw something. Y'all might hit something. Think about the last time a man pissed you off. You threw something at him. Whether you threw a drink on him, you threw the nearest object, you hit him with it, and it's okay because you were emotional at the time. A man cannot react in emotion. He's not allowed to. It's socially unacceptable for a man to act in emotion. But if this man was that emotional about the excessive stress he was under and he just lost his cool and he broke the screen on the car, he didn't break the child. He didn't punch the child in the jaw and knock a tooth out or nothing. He threw his phone at the car and broke the car. Clearly, he needs to get some anger management. He needs to get a little bit of therapy to vent some of his stress. He can't afford a lot of that stuff, but he needs to figure something out with that because he's got too much stress under his belt. But that's not abusive. Because ladies, if you're gonna say to him breaking a TV screen because he threw the phone in the front seat, kids should likely be in the back because there's three of them. So where was the kids at? In the back of the car. So the phone didn't bounce off the thing and hit the kid in the head. He just broke the car because he was pissed off. Now, if you're going to say that that's abusive, then every time a woman throws something at a man, that's abusive. Every time a woman yells at a man because she's emotional, that's abusive. Every time you can think in your life that you reacted with physical contact with your man, whether it's your husband, your boyfriend, your son, your brother, that's abusive. So I just want you, because you say that you didn't agree. I want you to let me know. Let me know. Okay. Because if it's not abusive when you do it, like you're just venting, you're stressed out, that, you were just upset in the moment, then that's fine. He wasn't being abusive. He was venting. He was stressed out. He was upset in the moment. It does require an apology, but it's his truck. He broke his truck. He's going to have to figure out how to pay for that. And y'all just not going to have a nav system for a while. But he didn't hurt any of the kids. Okay, he might have hurt their feelings, but he didn't hurt any of the kids. So I don't see how that's domestic violence. Okay, and her growing up in an orphanage does not justify the fact that he didn't hit none of the kids. Because now if you disagree with corporal punishment, now yeah, we can talk about that too. Because if you believe that children should get their behinds whooped, I mean, I respect that. There, after a certain age, you should be able to communicate with them. But between, like, I don't know, the ability to go and break something and the ability to follow instructions, that realm, there's a couple behind whoopers that's up in there. Two, three, five, seven. By the time you get to elementary school, I should be able to talk to you rationally and explain to you why behaving prevents me from having to beat your ass. You're not always going to do what I want you to do, but you should at least be able to rationalize with me why you did what you did. Because I can tell you, even in my family, we caught more whoopings for not knowing why we did the stupid stuff that we did. Not because we shouldn't have done it, but because we had no logical reason to do it. So why get yourself in trouble if there's no reason for you to do that? And a lot of times there were some situations where we put ourselves in the wrong place at the wrong time. We had a logical reason why we were doing that, and why we got grounded, why we lost video game time, why we lost playtime with our friends. We didn't get that whooping because at least it made sense. You can't make it make sense, and you out there acting a fool as a child. The stuff that you do as a child, if you did that as an adult, you'd end up in jail. You'd end up being beat up by a police officer on the side of the road. So do you think that me giving my child a whooping for doing something that would have got him beat up by a police officer, that I shouldn't discipline my child? I ain't talking about breaking a spleen. I ain't talking about he can't sit down for a week. I ain't talking about whelps and bruises. I'm talking about reasonable discipline. Certain actions require certain levels of consequence. And that exactly, Steve. If you do not discipline your children, the judge will. If they do not respect your authority as their parent, when you ask them to stop, then they will not respect the judge's authority when the judge tells them to follow instructions. Okay, so she said the man is the leader, so he can't act out of emotion. Now, that's an impossible request because all humans are going to act out of emotion at some point. However, most women do not respect that concept at all, specifically because he's not allowed to express his emotions. But even though he's a leader, she doesn't have to follow his instructions. If a man is supposed to be so much of a leader, where he is supposed to have to suppress his emotions when making a decision, then when a man makes a decision, the woman should follow his instructions, teaching the children to do what daddy says. Because if I got to do what your daddy say, you got to do what your daddy say. So whatever daddy say is the final word. So when daddy say sit down and shut up, y'all sit down and shut up because I'm going to sit down and shut up. That's how you lead by example. But don't tell me what to do. I'm grown is what a man is going to get from his wife in front of his kids. Listen to your mother is going to be what the man is going to have to do because he has to submit to his wife in front of his kids. Then, because the children recognize mom as the boss and the boss is in the store buying stuff, the man ain't got no say because listen to your mother is always what's being told. Now that puts this man in a situation where he does not have any authority because typically the fathers are the disciplinarians. We the ones that bring that belt in there and beat that ass. So you're afraid of getting your ass whooped when daddy show up. So you listen to mama, and if you don't listen to mama, she's the judge and the juror, and I'm the executioner. So if you don't do what she tell you to do, I'll come and whoop your ass. But if you do what she tell you to do, then I ain't got to do. I don't even have to want to beat you for this. But mama said you didn't listen, so now I got to come up in here and put in extra exercise to get you right because you didn't respect your mama. That's the two-man power trip right there. But when you take physical discipline out of the scenario, listen to your mama, meaning mama the boss. Mama's the leader, and mama's in the store shopping. So while a man is not supposed to act out of emotion socially, and that this is ironically the biggest issue with relationships these days is that men are not allowed to express emotion in any situation. There is never a situation where it is acceptable for a man to express his emotions. But throughout this woman's testimony, when she was giving us this statement before we started talking about it, she expressed his heightened level of stress. Now, why didn't mama tell the children that daddy's stressed out? Please don't act up. You know, your daddy's been under for oh, that's what happened. The internet flickered. So that's the kind of stuff that it requires a team effort. So when you say that a man cannot act out of emotion because he's a leader, as his wife, your responsibility is to have him vent his emotions with you. So he should be able to express to you everything that's got him stressed out. You already know some of it, but he needs to get it off of his chest anyway because it's hurting him. Okay, and it's hurting him bad. Like he can build ulcers like this. This is why men have strokes and heart attacks. So you take all that stress off of his plate. You know how stressed out he is. Now, without having to devalue your husband in front of your children, you need to let your children know that your daddy's going through a lot right now, and they need to not wild out in this car while you up in the stove shopping. And if you find out that they wilding out in the car while you in the store shopping, when you get back in this car, it is not going to be good for them. Now, you set the precedent as mama because you the boss, ladies. I'm not going to sit here and try to play no whistle here. You the boss. You know, the relationship between mother and father and raising children should be 50-50, but we all know the truth. Mama is in charge of the children, not because that's what we want, because mama put her foot down and even the husband bow down to the mama. Okay. Even the court system put the children with the mama. Even if mama's not as good as daddy's and taking care of the kids, they'll put the kids with the mama. So mama got the last word. So if mama put her foot down and say, look, daddy's under a lot of pressure and you don't need to be making your daddy mad while I'm in the stove. And I come back into this stove. I mean, if I come back into this car and find out that daddy got pissed off, it's gonna be me and y'all. Now, in that dynamic, if the kids start acting up, all daddy gotta do is say, well, don't make me go get your mama, and the kids is gonna sit down and shut up. She said that's a united front. The kids can't use the parents. You're right, but what relationship there are some, but what relationship is it 100% a united front? The united front comes from the man back in the woman's play. Rarely is it the woman back in the man's play. Whatever she say goes. Happy wife, happy life. It's not happy husband, happy life. It's happy wife, happy life. So when the woman moves into the man's house, she make it her home by changing his house into what she is satisfied with. When the women have the children, she does have the kids more often than not, whether he's the primary breadwinner or whatever the case may be with the dynamic, but she decides what happens with the kids. The co-parenting, they do make decisions, but they when there's an argument, he might want to do something one way and she wants to do it another way. But a man will submit to a woman to stop the argument before a woman back down from a man because she has to be right. It that there go the other saying. When she's right. And when she's wrong, she's right. And when he's right, he's wrong. And when he's wrong, he's wrong. Why is that a dynamic? Why is that even a thing? If it's a unified front, equality, when she wrong, she wrong. And when he's wrong, he's wrong. If she's always right, even when she's wrong, it's not a united front. He backs her play. Whatever she say go, which means she's the leader of the vehicle. She the leader of the household. She's the leader of this castle. She will control the kids' behavior. And because the boss is not in the car, the kids is wilding out. And because the kids are wilding out and they don't have respect for their daddy, which is not just mom's fault, it's both parents' fault because they did not establish that daddy got authority when mama's not in the room. It's both of their fault. All I'm saying is that because the kids was wilding out, them kids pissed him off and he broke the car. That's not domestic violence. That's not domestic violence. That's a lack of control of the children, but that's not domestic violence. Yeah, there are a lot of double standards in society. I ain't going for it neither, bro. I ain't going for it neither. I'm starting a relationship with non-negotiable expectations from behavior. You're gonna know what you're not gonna do around me. That's not me bossing you around. That's me saying if this relationship is going to last, I'm going to get treated a certain way where I feel satisfied in this relationship because I'm going to give you the man that you want. So you're going to be the woman that I want because I'm not going to firsthand prioritize giving you everything that you want in the world, knowing that I'm going to be miserable the whole way. That's not going to work out for me. If we're going to sure that you're going to prioritize me the way I'm going to prioritize you. Because if you're not going to prioritize me the way I'm going to prioritize you, then you're going to waste my time and benefit from my effort. And that's not fair to me. So, first person accountability, I got to be responsible for myself. So, I got to make sure that my needs are met. And before these children come out, because you got to understand, First kid's off to college. That was 18, 19 years old. So they didn't already had plenty of time to figure this out. The second kid is 12. The third kid is 9. The fourth kid is 6. And they got a baby on the way. So they didn't already had 3 times to get this right. And after the first two, after 18 and 12, if y'all ain't got these kids under control, they both messed up. But getting mad and breaking the car, that's not domestic violence. Because at the end of the day, think about this. Two adults in the car driving, right? Y'all get into an argument, and it don't matter who's driving. It could be the man, it could be the woman, but y'all get into an argument in the car. It don't matter what it's about. And you just like slam your hand on the steering wheel because you really pissed off in this argument. You broke the horn. Luckily for you, the airbag didn't deploy. That is not domestic violence. Domestic violence would have been you slamming his face on a horn. Domestic violence would have been you slamming on the brakes to make them slam their face on the dashboard. You didn't hurt the other person, but your emotions got flared up to a level where you broke something in the car. Women are going to say that if you break something in anger, that's domestic violence. No, when you start breaking stuff in anger, you start realizing that you have a large quantity of pent up rage that needs to be vented somewhere through therapy and anger management. But you also have the partner that's watching the pent up rage recognize, I have neglected my partner's feelings for this long. They've bottled it up for this long. And now my partner is releasing that in an inappropriate fashion. I ain't saying what they did was right. What I'm saying is that's not domestic violence. Because if you're going to say to him, losing his cool is domestic violence, you could also say that him being forced to suppress that for what she said, 17 years they were together with a 20-year total relationship. So for 20 years, he's been repressing this and he finally let it out after 20 years. You have been ignoring this man's emotional state for 20 years. Now, you're not going to tell me that's not domestic violence? And he done had enough after 20 years and broke a navigation system in the SUV? To me, I think good man. Shit. You put up with that bullshit for 20 years. That's a high five for the fact that he held back for 20 years. But he didn't Mike Tyson punch out none of the kids. That's what I'm saying. Kevin says it's easy to get angry when you're frustrated, um, when things go wrong. But if you don't compromise with your significant other or have guidance and stability with your kids, it's chaos. And that's exactly right. It is pure chaos. It is pure chaos. It is pure chaos. So yeah, I thought that the way the mom handled it, I thought that was wrong. Yeah, he should apologize to the kids for snapping at the kids, but no, he should not take full responsibility for that. He was wrong for breaking the screen, and he is the only person responsible for breaking the screen. So the kids should not feel bad about the screen being broke, but the kids should feel bad about pissing off dad to the point where dad broke the screen. Because accountability starts and stops with your behavior. And if your behavior was that bad in the car that daddy got so mad that daddy broke the screen, you need to take responsibility for the fact that you piss your daddy off on a regular basis. And he has been holding this in your entire life. And today he had enough of your behavior. And that's what you got to really understand. And instead of you catching a whooping in the back seat of this car like most American children would have got, he broke the TV. Now y'all can't watch Netflix in the car no more. And that's the worst thing that happened out of the situation. Y'all can't watch Netflix in the car no more. Okay. So to me, while that was the wrong behavior, it was way better than what them kids could have got. And I'm still not gonna say that I'm not gonna say that that's domestic violence. That's a release of frustration. You know what I mean? Now, that should not be a pattern of behavior for him. He should try to find other ways to vent. He should have found other ways to deal with the children. Like I said, take everybody out the car, have them face the car, and don't talk until mama come back. You got a bunch of boys. You could have had them all outside the car doing push-ups till mama come back. Since they don't want to follow your instructions, everybody out the car, drop down and give me 55 until mama get here. and that would have occupied their time. There would have been a different way to make that go. Um, oh, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. So let's go ahead and touch base with the next one. But yeah, I mean, I respect your opinion, Nicole. I respect your opinion. I really believe that if you have a another explanation as to why you believe that um um not that that was wrong, because I never said it wasn't wrong, but if you believe that he's not allowed to express himself in a relationship, I mean, by all means, I think we got another 30 45 minutes left in the show. You can take your time and type it up and let me know, like, your observation as to when is a man allowed to express his emotions in a relationship, because women express their emotions in the moment. In the moment, when y'all get upset, y'all let it out right then. And y'all sometimes let it out in some of the worst ways. Yelling, fussing, cussing, throwing stuff in the house, in the street, drawing attention to y'all, embarrassing both of y'all, and he's trying to calm y'all down. But men are not allowed to express their emotions. So if you still, hanging out on the show, please let me know, when is it a good time for a man to express his emotions? Because remember the dynamic. A lot of times women shame men for talking about how they feel. A man can't cry in front of a woman too many times because he loses his value as a masculine man, because men aren't supposed to cry. Um, he can't tell you when he's unsatisfied with your actions and behavior, because that's misogynistic. Don't be a pussy. Don't get your panties in a twist. All of these things that are told to a man, if he tell you that he don't think you should wear that outfit, you don't care. You're gonna wear it anyway because it makes you look sexy. It makes you look cute, right? Your friends can wear it in their relationships with their boyfriend, but you're not in a relationship with their friend's boyfriend. You're in a relationship with him, and he's asking you to be modest and not look like one of these girls from OnlyFans. And you're arguing him down about it because he ain't your daddy. So with the women that don't respect their husbands, that don't respect their boyfriends, that don't respect their baby daddy, when is it an appropriate time for a man to express his emotions, since he can't do it in the moment? He has to always bottle that up. When is it an appropriate time? Because I'm from the realm of uniformity, meaning that if the roles were reversed, that she would have flipped out in the car and broke the screen. But had that happened, where daddy was in the store shopping and mama was in the car with the kids, and mama would have broke that TV screen, everybody would have said, well, she was pissed off. She got the kids all the time. So explain it to me. Why would it have been okay for her to do it and it not be domestic violence if she did it? But it's domestic violence if he do it. The social dynamic is not normal, because men are not allowed to be human, but women are allowed to be overly emotional, and that is considered normal and human. But if she can express her emotions, he can express his too. Now, not saying that what he did was appropriate. I'm just saying that that's expected. Let's check on the next one.
Children always come first. They shouldn't have had to see this. And on top of all that, it's a several $100 repair, and in the meantime now our NAV and radio doesn't work. Which I know is
I don't
small
care about
beans, but I'm pissed about it. Fuck, today
There
is
you
a
go,
bad
Samantha.
day. WTF do I do?
Okay, we covered that. She just mad
I
because the
feel
radio.
stupid asking other people for advice on this, but I am looking for outside perspectives because I am struggling to tell if I am overthinking this or if there is something worth addressing. I know that I
Y'all
have a
make sure y'all
higher
like and
anxiety
subscribe to
level
come
than
through.
most, something I am working on with therapy, so I don't want to make a big deal out of something that maybe isn't. My partner and I have 2 young children, ages 3 and 5. We both work full-time, have 2 dogs, and life is generally very busy. I am also currently finishing my master's degree while working. Because of that, we do not get out much, but we are generally supportive of each other, having the occasional guys' night or girls' night and having time away with friends. There have been a couple of situations over the past year where my partner has gone out drinking while I stayed home with the kids, which I encourage, but I am noticing a pattern that has been bothering me. Most recently, she went out with friends for a concert. After the concert, I did not hear from her at all. We have always communicated that we do not need constant updates, but we do usually let each other know when we are leaving a place or heading somewhere else. Eventually, after about 3 hours post-concert, and my ability to see that she was at her friend's house, due to us sharing locations, one of her friends eventually texted me to say that my partner was too drunk to move. At that point, I had to go pick her up. Because our kids were asleep, I also had to ask her mom to come over to be at the house while I was gone. The next day, when we talked about the situation, I asked why she had not texted me at all. I was not expecting frequent check-ins, but I was surprised to hear nothing for several hours. She said she was having fun and was not thinking about me, which is why she did not reach out. Earlier this year, something similar happened during her mom's birthday. She went out for dinner with her parents and siblings, which resulted in them drinking excessively. Later in the night, she texted me and asked if I minded if she went out to a bar with other friends. I appreciated her checking in and asking. However, I told her I would prefer she did not go out because I had early plans the next morning that she knew about, but I also said it was ultimately her choice. I believe my text to her was, I would prefer you don't, as you know I need to be up early tomorrow, but it's up to you. She decided to go out anyway, got very drunk, did not text me for the rest of the evening, and had to be forced into her father's car to be taken home. The next morning, I had to cancel my plans so I could take care of the kids while she slept it off. What is
Mm,
sticking with me is not that she went out drinking. I am not trying to control her social life. It is the lack of communication, the fact that I was not checked in with, and that the consequences of those nights ended up landing on me. The comment about not thinking about me really stood out. Am I overthinking this, or does this point to a bigger issue around consideration, communication, and shared responsibility? If this is something worth addressing, how would you approach that conversation? Upvote 12, downvote 24, go to comments, share.
okay. That was a lot more than I was expecting. Okay, so first and foremost, she's got an alcohol problem, and that's something that needs to be addressed. She's self-medicating because she's under a lot of stress and a lot of pressure, and don't know why that is if you guys have such a shared relationship. But she is venting by using a lot of alcohol, and she does not have self-control when she has alcohol. And once she gets too many drinks in, she loses track of time. She's partying like a rock star because she can't tell the next time she's going to be able to get out there and party like a rock star like this. So she's trying to get it all in a short period of time. Once you start getting too drunk to stand up, you uh don't really start checking in. Your friends are catering to you. They're going to get you back to their place, try to let you sleep it off. Then somebody's going to recognize to call your husband so that your husband can come and get you so that you get back to the house. Um, it you I can't say that you don't have an area of lack of consideration, but what you do have is that you feel ignored and you feel invisible to your partner. Your needs aren't being met, and you don't believe that your partner is considering your needs because your partner is it made the upfront claim that she wasn't thinking about you when she was having a good time. Um, and that's a concern because you're canceling important appointments to you because of her mistakes. Now, me, I would not have canceled my appointment since her dad brought her home drunk. He knows that he's going to be watching her kids because I got something to do. Um, but at the same time, I would also, after the first couple of times that, but I wouldn't even say after the first couple of times that she went and did something like this after we had children, because you should know all the long that y'all have been together, y'all got two, three kids together, you know that she's an alcoholic. You know this because you're not going to tell me that you've been dating this girl for this many years and she didn't get drunk every time she went out to drink. She might not go out to drink that often, but when she goes out to drink, she gets drunk. So you need to have several conversations with her. One, self control. because you're getting too drunk in public. It's not about the image. Something bad can happen to her if the wrong person ain't watching her, and then she'll end up in the back of a van with no windows. She needs to have self control. Two, since the alcohol is starting to get out of control because more frequently she is going places and coming back drunk and having to be carried into the house, she needs to start regulating alcohol intake to to the magnitude that if she's going out to have a good time with friends, that there's no alcohol involved, so that she can responsibly come back in time, especially when I got something else to do. And then number three, while when you gave her the ability to choose, you wanted her to proactively choose to bring her ass home, and she didn't bring her ass home. Uh, you need to teach her that when you've got something going on, that she needs to prioritize getting back at a reasonable time so that you can leave at a reasonable time so that you can meet your engagements. So if she is going to go out there and party like a rock star, she has to limit her exposure because her husband's got to go somewhere in the morning and she got to be at the house watching the kids. Okay, consideration. Um, you do need to sit her down and have that conversation with her about you not feeling seen or respected or appreciated. But another thing, I want to talk to y'all real quick about this. I know y'all feel like this is overbearing behavior. I know y'all feel like this is inconsiderate behavior or whatever from men. But ladies, a man is supposed to be your protector, right? He need to know where you at all times, because if you are in trouble, he needs to know that you are in trouble. So, for example, his wife started having too many drinks. If she would have been checking in with him on a regular basis, her text messages would have started looking funny, not using correct sentence structure, not spelling words, not even being able to spell the words. You know what I mean? And he would have been able to tell by the type of text message that she's starting to get drunk. I should probably get down there and go get her. Women, y'all are going to say, no, that's controlling, blase squaze. But if your friend had to carry you out the bar, your husband should have been at the bar to drive you home. If your daddy got to carry you out the nightclub, your husband should have been able to come get you from that nightclub. Your Uber should have been your husband, your baby daddy, which means that he needs to know where you at all times. He can't protect you, help come get me. You don't know where you're at if you didn't tell him where you was versus where you was trying to go. He can't even he can't triangulate your destination, your location, and he don't know nothing about where you at and where you were. We had a person earlier tonight talking about that, how the parents was over checking in on him and he felt like it was controlling. My generation, 80s babies, we grew up in an era where we voluntarily told our parents who we was hanging out with, bring them over to the house so that mom and daddy could meet them. We would go, tell them what car we driving, sometimes bring them a license plate. If we left, and this was before text messages and cell phones and stuff came out, but when the cell phones came out with the text messages and stuff, when we left and we was going somewhere, if we left from point A and went to point B, we would tell, hey, we're leaving from this place and we're going to that place. I'm leaving from this place, I'm going to my friend's house, and which friend house I'm going to. And this is a way that our parents know where we were. And the reason why this is important is because when you come up missing, not if you come up missing, when you come up missing, the first 30 questions the police are going to ask are going to be in line with: what were you wearing? What car did you get into? Who was driving? Where did y'all go? Where did you go after that? Who did you go with? Where's the last place you heard he was? Who do you remember was there? All of the questions that I'm asking you is if and when you come up missing, I can answer those questions so that they can find you within the first 48 hours of you missing. But let's be real now. Technically, depending on your age, they don't even let you put out a missing persons report for 72 hours. So you're gone for 3 days. And the worst things that can happen to you in your life can happen to you within the first 30 seconds, and you still be alive to suffer through it. And you still got 71 more hours left before people start looking for you. So if I know that you are not where you're supposed to be, it is not as a parent that I'm overbearing and controlling to run over there and come and get you. And it is not as an overbearing and controlling husband or boyfriend to run over there and come and get you. Because if you need help, the police will not come unless you're dying. And if you need help, the police are not coming unless you've been missing for 3 days, which means you have to survive help for 3 days before they start looking. And it's still going to take them 2, 3 days to find you. So the first 45 minutes of red flag that you are not where you were supposed to be at, I can start looking at the last location you were. I can find you before it gets too serious for you. I can find you before you got the kind of trauma that therapy can't fix. But if you don't tell a man where you at and where you going, he can't help you. He's just got to wait at the house until you come back. And the free spirited women that want to be kept and catered to by the man, but have no responsibility and follow no instructions, y'all are building the type of dynamic where y'all could end up roofied in a nightclub in a backseat of a car somewhere and found on the side of a riverbank because nobody knows where you are. And y'all say that that's not right, but I tell y'all all the time, the president is a $4+ billion man, and he got 20 grown men telling him what to do on a regular basis, where to go, when to go, when not to go, when to sit down, when not to sit down. At the end of the day, in order for your protector to protect you, you have to listen to your protector. In order for your man to fulfill his duty to protect you, you have to tell him where you're at when he's not with you. In order for him to analyze the situation, to know when it is time for him to step in, you not only got to tell him where you're at, who you with, who's around you, what kind of condition you're in, what the weather. He can situation and say, all right, it's raining outside. She ain't feeling too good. She hiccuping and heard about. She sound like she's starting to get a little bit too drunk. If she talking to me on the phone and the speech is slurred, let me just go to the club to go get her. I ain't got to go inside, but I could be outside the club, text her and let her know, hey, I'm waiting for you in the parking lot. You know, and if she's not responding to the phone, this is where good husbands come into play. If I get to the club and my wife's not responding to me, I don't gotta pay the cover to go in the club and go get her. I can go to the bouncer and say, this woman here, show a picture of what my wife looked like when she left the house, is in your restaurant or in your nightclub. And I have lost contact with her. And the last I heard, she was intoxicated. I need you to bring her outside or come with me in there so that I can bring her outside. It is time for her to go home. And that bouncer will go get her or bring you in there to go get her because likely they know that she drunk in the bar. And they will help you, her and her friend, carry your drunk wife on out of that building, and you ain't got to pay a dollar to get into that nightclub. Because I'm not coming here to have fun. I'm coming here to bring my children's mother home. Okay. And at the end of the day, that is how you stay safe. Because instead of you ending up in the back of an Uber that turn out to not be an Uber, or worse, you go home with your husband the same way you went home with your father. So, in order for men to be the men that y'all want men to be, ladies, y'all got to treat these men the way these men deserve to be treated, which requires you to fall in line in certain areas so that he can fulfill his roles. His role as the leader of the household requires you to submit to his authority because you can't make him a figurehead of a leader and he has no say. You cannot put him in charge and responsible for the outcome when he had no control over the event at all. If all he's there for is to be a paycheck and a good time, then you don't have a masculine, responsible man. What you have is a fuck buddy or a sugar daddy. But when you want a masculine, responsible man, a husband, a boyfriend that will become a husband, a leader in your household that will protect you and provide for you, you listen to him because that's the only way he can do his job. Because again, as the wife, how do you help your man tell you what he needs done? Otherwise, you're going to default to cooking and cleaning and watching the kids. But if anything else that needs to be done that's not cooking and cleaning and watching kids, who's going to do that if somebody don't tell you it needs to be done? Now, if you're very observant and you see that certain things haven't been done yet and it's about to reach the deadline, then you might decide to step up and go get that done.
And lucky for us, the internet crashed on us. I'm sitting over here trying to figure out what's going on. I think we only had like one more comment left, but since the internet didn't crash on us, I got to figure out how these people are going to fix this situation, because this would be the second or third time today that we had, because we started 40 minutes late because this was flickering out on us. So I'm going to try to see what's going on with them. But yeah, long story short, what I was saying is that we have to, now it's going to come back up. And see, T-Mobile be playing. We have to, in our relationships, start prioritizing each other. So the men have to prioritize the women, but the women, ladies, y'all got to start putting more effort into prioritizing y'all men. Because if y'all do not prioritize the husband, if y'all don't prioritize the boyfriend, how do y'all expect to end up in the marriage? Because as girlfriends, you are not wife material if you are not performing the way a wife is supposed to perform. You're just getting married for the sake of getting married. And as wives, after you to marry this man, if you're not fulfilling your role as a wife, that's qualifiable for a divorce. While men don't never divorce women because they're not fulfilling their wifely duties, the fact is that you're in a marriage that is not fulfilling, and that literally leads to a lot of infidelity. So it is a hard hit as a man to be listening to scenarios where the women do not feel like they should be performing in this marriage, and then the men are suffering as a result. Then, like earlier, when the man lashes out in anger, the women say that's inappropriate, that's abusive. Well, look, if you do not want your man to act out in anger, do not leave him in the type of stressful situation that will cause him to get that angry. In order for a man to not act out in anger, ladies, y'all job is to keep him in peace. And keeping him in peace means allowing him to vent his emotions to you or his therapist or his preacher to get that stress off of his plate. And based on what you hear, non-judgmental, non-resentment, non-retaliatory listening, full transparency. And based on what you hear, you help him with what's pissing him off. That way he does not have to lash out in anger. That is how you are supportive. If you find out what's getting on his damn nerves and you put a stop to that, he no longer has anger. And not only do you stop his anger, at the end of the day, he can now trust you with more stuff. And that's not something that women actually recognize, because the women back in the 50s and 60s, before they was burning bras in the street, they used to make sure that they man wasn't mad. They man would be mad about all kind of stuff. But the ladies, these days, all y'all want is to exist. And a man is not supposed to react. Y'all are supposed to exist. And y'all do nothing in the relationship, and that hurts the relationship, because that ultimately means that the husband is carrying the entire relationship. And think about this real quick. Think about this, because you're going to be mad that you're carrying the entire childbearing scenario, raising the kids by yourself. You're overwhelmed. You're frustrated. You need a break, this, that, and the third. But think about this. As much as he should be helping you with the kids, you should be helping him with his stress. Now, we said uniformity. We said equality. We said sharing everything, right? So share his stress and he share your responsibilities. Then y'all are looking out for one another because you're going to need a break eventually, and he should be the one giving you that break. And he's going to need a break eventually, and you should be the one giving him that break. And sometimes when these kids get to a certain age, y'all should both be able to take a break together and let the kids be with a babysitter and fend for themselves. So that's all I got for y'all for tonight. I really appreciate y'all sticking it out, especially during the technical support problems. We're going to try to get this under wraps tonight. And I'm going to reset everything because it's still working itself in. Tomorrow, we're going to be talking about the new changes with finance, with taxation and stuff like that, so that y'all know what y'all got coming up for next year, because we're supposed to start filing taxes in 2 weeks. And then Tuesday, we're going to be talking about some financing, dividend rotation strategies. Crock It Up is going to come in, and we're going to be talking about some real estate stuff. So we got some financial discussions coming in on Tuesday, and then Wednesday we're going to be talking about Norway. So make sure that y'all stay tuned for that. I'm going to try to get a lot of stuff set up tonight so that we start the show on time. So we should be starting around 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, which is 10 o'clock Central Time. So if y'all want to get in there and start hearing some things about business and finance and investment opportunities, make sure that y'all swing by Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. I really appreciate you guys from coming to the show. I'm going to start off by saying, ladies, as long as the situation doesn't make sense, I'm going to keep asking y'all ladies to make it make sense. So ladies, please make it make sense. And then fellas, I give y'all this information to help y'all become higher value men. So if y'all take the information that I give you and y'all utilize it to change the things in your life that are inside of your control and to navigate yourselves around the things that you cannot control, then you guys will find a peaceful life. Now, ladies, while this is a male-driven podcast from the male's perspective, you too can take this information and use it to make yourselves higher value women. But again, you have to find the priorities in life that you value and make the appropriate changes to make those improvements. That's all I have for you guys for tonight. Thank you for coming to This and That. I'm your host, Xander, where we talk about this, that, and everything in between. And I will see you guys tomorrow night.
Chase validation, now I validate myself. Building inner strength, putting doubt upon the shelf. No more unnecessary drama, no more wasted time. Climbing higher, constantly making my own climb. My network is my net worth. Choose your company wise. Surround yourself with eagles, not with sheep in disguise. Every interaction is a reflection of my brand. Quality over quantity, that's my personal command.